What is up, YouTube? Welcome to PanFro Games. In today's video, we have our very first 7-star raid of 2024, and we're going to be talking about all of the details here. And of course, guys, if you like my type of content and enjoy these videos, please leave a like, subscribe if you're new. I really appreciate it. Consider supporting the channel by joining the Pan Fam by hitting that join channel member button below. So let's dive right into it. The new 7-star raid is going to be Blaziken with the Flying Terra type. Of course, it will have the Mightiest Mark, just like all of these 7-star raids. So if you are someone who collects the Mightiest Mark, then you're gonna need to do this. Now, this raid will be the raid of January because it's going to be starting on January 11th at 4 p.m. Pacific time. And then it's going to come back at January 18th to the 21st. But when it comes back the second time, there's also going to be the return of the 5-star Blissey raids. So if you are farming for Terra shards, then you'll be able to do it again in about a couple weeks. So that's actually pretty nice. They're doing more with it. But besides that, the usual 7-star stuff, you can only catch one of these Blazikens per game file. So you can't shiny hunt this Blaziken through the raid. It's always going to be static. And the Blaziken will always have its hidden ability. The big question is, are they going to keep on doing all the starters? They probably will at this point. But I do think it's pretty funny as everyone probably has completed all their shiny starters within the Indigo disc because they made shiny hunting so easy for them. So I do think it's pretty funny, and I wonder what the hype is going to be behind this raid going forward. Hopefully the raid rewards are going to be really good, but I'm going to guess because it has the hidden ability Speed Boost, it's probably going to have Carbos, and maybe we'll have proteins as well, but we'll have to wait and see. Now, let's break down Blaziken. So as we know, Blaziken is a fire and fighting type Pokemon, and it's going to have that Flying Terra as well, which means it's going to be getting boosted damage from fire, fighting, and flying. Now, it's going to have its hidden ability like all other 7-star raids, so that's going to be Speed Boost. Now, Speed Boost is a bit of a scary ability because every turn it's going to be getting +1 to its speed, meaning by turn 2, this Pokemon will absolutely be outspeeding a lot of the Pokemon in the meta, and by turn 3, it'll be the fastest Pokemon on the field. So definitely got to respect that, and you've got to realize that it's going to be attacking us before we can hit it in the most part. Now, looking at his general stats, this is why I'm not too afraid of Blaziken, because defensively, it's very frail. 80 HP isn't that great. It's okay, but it's not that good. 70 defense with 70 special defense on top of that 80 HP is really not that great overall. And I can definitely see us making a easy one-turn KO on this, which I'll definitely be working on soon. But just from these stats, this is a very frail and easy to destroy Pokemon. So I'm really not worried about this at whatsoever. Now, the scary part about Blaziken is that base 120 attack and 110 special attack. So this is going to be a very strong physical attacker, but that special attack is also very respectable, and it's going to make it a mixed attacker. So I'm expecting both physical and special moves coming from it. So maybe going all in on defense or special defense won't be the best play. Maybe going max HP with an attacking stat could be the better play. We're gonna have to wait and see what the move pool is gonna be at the finale. But, you know, it's one of those things where I think in general, if you are at least not weak to all the different moves it will have, you should be good to go. Now, speed is 80, which doesn't really matter because once it gets a couple speed boosts, it's still gonna be the fastest thing on the field. But with 80 speed on turn 1, this definitely sets us up for turn 1 KOs, which I'll be covering in a future video. Now, since Blaziken is a flying type Pokemon in this raid, it's gonna have 3 weaknesses, and that is going to be Rock, Electric, and Ice. Now, Blaziken is also a fire and fighting type Pokemon, meaning fire and fighting will destroy ice type Pokemon. Fighting will destroy rock type Pokemon. So the answer to this raid is going to be use an electric type Pokemon. Now, we also got to make sure that your electric type Pokemon is definitely not a fire, bug, or grass type, because we do not want to eat a flying type move from this Blaziken for sure. But of course, make sure that Pokemon is also not weak to fire and fighting. If you are weak to any one of those 3, you're probably going to have a really bad time in this raid for the most part, unless you're incredibly bulky. Now, looking at the moves that Blaziken has. Now, level up moves. So it doesn't have too many amazing level up moves. However, the big ones that are notable is absolutely Brave Bird is going to be the big move. It's going to have that flying Terra. And we have seen Brave Bird from the Decidueye raid before. So I'm not too surprised if this is going to be the main flying move. It could also potentially have bounce, but I'm not afraid of bounce. And I'm also not sure if a move can be used by a raid boss that will let them like leave the field. So I don't think bounce is even a possibility, but it'll definitely have Brave Bird. Now, also in the same vein as Brave Bird, I think we'll also have Flare Blitz. So that's going to be two insanely powerful attacks. Using that base 120 attack and stab / Terra boosted is going to be absolutely crazy. So I would definitely recommend a little bit more on the physical defense side in this case. Looking at the other moves it has on level up, the big things is probably going to be bulk up and focus energy. Focus energy increasing its crit rate to 50%, and then bulk up giving that +1/+1 on attack and defense. I could see that, but everything else, it doesn't really have a good fighting type move on here. But moving on to its signature move, which is going to be Blaze Kick. Now, Blaze Kick, if you didn't know, is a very strong move. This move is an 85 damage, 90 accuracy move. It has a 10% chance of burning, but it also has an increased crit chance. So it's gonna have a +1 crit whenever it gets used, and if you have that with focus energy, that means Blaze Kick will always crit. So that is a combo we definitely gotta be afraid about. 85 damage, stab with that 120 attack and a crit is gonna do a lot of damage. So definitely recommend having a Pokemon that can resist fire just in that case. Now, moves learned by reminder. Honestly, a couple of these are a little bit scary. I mean, Fire Punch is a good substitute for Blaze Kick, but I do think it's going to have Blaze Kick over Fire Punch. Flamethrower is definitely like the shoe-in for a special fire move on the moveset. I can totally see it having Flamethrower. And Feather Dance is actually a very scary move. If you use a physical attacker against this Blaziken, then it's going to lower your attack by 2. That can absolutely be problematic, so maybe special attackers will be better. And luckily, because we're probably going to be using electric-type Pokemon are better as special attackers than physical, so I wouldn't actually worry about Feather Dance too much unless you're somehow a physical attacker, like an Iron Hands, as an example. Now, moves learned by TM. Looking over the physical moves, it's hard to find something that's scarier than the combo of Flare Blitz and Brave Bird, but there's a couple things we do need to worry about. One, I do recommend electric type Pokemon, but it also does learn Earthquake. Now, it's not going to be stab, but it will be super effective, and that is going to hit very hard. Earthquake doing 100 damage is going to hurt. Now, it also has moves. I don't think I'll have Dig, but I think I'll have Bulldoze. Bulldoze can definitely be a problematic move for sure. It lowers your speed as well, and I can see it have Bulldoze just for that speed control if they want to do a full speed feature on this Blaziken, but I do think Earthquake's going to be most likely what it'll have. So we're looking at Flare Blitz, Brave Bird, Blaze Kick, and now Earthquake. And then besides that, it needs a fighting move, so I can totally see it having something like a Close Combat or a Brick Break, probably Brick Break to remove any sort of screens we want to set up, like a Reflect or a Light Screen or Aurora Veil. Brick Break will definitely go through those strategies immediately, and it could have Close Combat, but it would lower its own stats, which would honestly be a boon for us in a lot of different cases. But I do think Brick Break is definitely a higher chance. Now, looking at the special moves, it has a pretty decent special move pool, but I still think the big ones is definitely going to be Flamethrower. Potentially could use Aura Sphere as well. A Focus Blast would be honestly an awesome move to see because it usually misses, so I'm not really afraid of that whatsoever. Don't think it's going to have Vacuum Wave or any priority moves like that. It doesn't really need it because it has the speed boost, so it's always going to be going ahead of us. Now, looking at the other status moves it could learn, Swords Dance is definitely a massive one. Turn 0 Swords Dance could definitely be the scariest thing. That would be wild. I mean, a +2 Flare Blitz or +2 Brave Bird on turn 1 would be wild. So that could be really scary. Could use Will-O-Wisp to burn us. I don't think it will, though, but that is a potential. And besides that, Sunny Day is always an option, but I don't necessarily think we're going to see Sunny Day. But Sunny Day Blaze Kick crit would be absolutely devastating, but I think that's a little bit far-fetched at this point. Most likely, it's going to be Swords Dance as the status move that it will use to boost its own attack. But overall, I'm not really too afraid of this Blaziken. And the Pokemon I really like using against this, just from brainstorming really quickly while making this video, is going to be Miraidon and Bellibolt. I think those are going to be the two absolute killers of this Blaziken. But we'll go over more builds and the exact builds, the EV spreads and all that good stuff in my next video. So definitely stay tuned to the channel for that. And don't forget to leave a like and subscribe if you're new. I really appreciate it. And I'll catch you guys next time. Peace out and have a good one.